I thought my life was normal until my boss handed me an envelope that changed everything. Within 24 hours, my daughter and I were running for our lives, hunted by powerful forces that would stop at nothing to silence us. What I uncovered wasn't just corporate fraud, it was a web of global corruption reaching the highest levels of government. And now, the shadows are still watching. Would you risk everything to expose the truth? The morning air in Chicago bit through my coat as I walked toward the towering glass facade of Carrington Financial. Normally, the bustling streets and blaring horns were background noise to my routine, but that day, each step felt heavier than the last. I tightened my grip on my bag, my mind juggling lunchboxes, school projects, and spreadsheets. My daughter, Ava, would be waiting for me at home, unaware that our lives were about to change forever. I had worked at Carrington Financial for 3 years, and in all that time, my boss, Gideon Kane, had never summoned me without warning. He was a man whose presence commanded the room, whose stare could silence a dozen voices. And yet, that morning, when I stepped into his office and he locked the door behind me, the air between us was charged with a fear I had never seen in him. He pressed a sealed envelope into my hand, his fingers trembling slightly. His eyes, usually so steady, darted nervously toward the window, then back at me. "Do not open this here," he whispered. "Go home. Pack a bag. Take your daughter. You have 24 hours. I froze, gripping the envelope like it contained the key to another world. Panic and disbelief tangled in my chest. This had to be a mistake, a drill, a test. But the quiver in his voice told me it was real. Something had shifted. Something dangerous had found its way into my life, and the man I had thought barely noticed me was now risking everything to save me. I am Selah Donovan, 29 years old, a single mother living in a small South Side apartment with my daughter, Ava. She is 7, bright, full of imagination, and endlessly curious about the world. Her tiny drawings of us holding hands cover my fridge. She is my universe, the reason I fight through exhaustion, late nights, and the endless grind just to keep our life steady. Life hadn't been gentle. Ava's father left when she was a toddler, unready for responsibility. Since then, I juggled jobs, long hours, and constant pressure, scraping together a life we could call our own. Landing a full-time role as an administrative coordinator at Carrington Financial had finally given me stability. I was proud, not lucky, not given but earned. That morning began like any other. I braided Ava's hair, tucked a note into her lunchbox, and kissed her forehead as she begged for pancakes that weekend. My thoughts lingered briefly on normalcy as I stepped onto the packed train downtown. The city's skyline rose in the distance, serene under the early sun. Maybe life is finally normal, I thought. Maybe our struggles are behind us. That peaceful notion shattered the moment I walked into the office. The lobby was eerily quiet. Staff whispered, cast wary glances, and 2 unfamiliar men in sharp suits stood outside the executive elevators, scanning every passerby. My pulse quickened. Something was wrong. At exactly 9:14 a.m., my phone rang. Gideon's assistant. "Selah, Mr. Kane wants to see you immediately." Her voice trembled before the line went dead. I walked down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. Whatever awaited me, it was no longer about reports or audits. My chest tightened as I entered his office. He didn't greet me. He didn't turn around. He just held out the envelope, his eyes locked on mine. "Whatever happens today, do not panic. Follow my instructions exactly." The envelope felt like a live thing in my hands. I left the office in a daze. The city around me blurred into gray. Outside, the cold cut my face, but it didn't clear the fog of panic in my mind. At home, I locked the door behind me and finally opened the envelope. Inside were 3 items. A one-way plane ticket to Durango, Colorado, departing at 7:45 p.m. that night. A prepaid phone with a single number saved under the name. Call only this. A photograph of Ava standing outside her school that very morning. My blood ran cold. That photo meant someone had been watching her. A handwritten note accompanied the items. "They know what you saw. Do exactly as instructed. If you remain in Chicago after midnight, they will come for you and Ava. Trust no one. You are being watched." Panic surged, but I forced myself to breathe. I couldn't waste time. I went to Ava's school, keeping my head low. She was safe, coloring happily, oblivious to the storm approaching our lives. I signed her out, telling her it was a surprise trip. Her excitement, the innocence of her giggle, was both a relief and a knife in my chest. The drive home felt like a minefield. A black SUV appeared in the rearview mirror, tracking us. My heart raced, but I didn't show fear. I took detours, circling back, trying to lose it. The SUV stayed. Back in the apartment, I told Ava to pack a bag. Essentials, favorite toys, clothes. I packed my own quickly, my hands trembling over the documents and the envelope. The prepaid phone lit up. "Do not call until you reach the airport." Then, my regular phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered. A calm female voice whispered urgently, "They are outside your building. Leave through the back. Take only one bag each. Say nothing. If you want your daughter safe, follow instructions." The line went dead. I guided Ava down the stairwell, through a side alley, and into the car. Buckled in, she smiled, unaware of the danger. A voice above us crackled faintly over a radio. "Target has moved. They have a child." Fear and determination collided. Whoever Gideon had warned me about wasn't exaggerating. Someone was hunting us, and I had no choice but to trust the next person to appear. At the airport, a black pickup truck pulled up. The driver, a rugged man with eyes sharp as knives, rolled down his window. "Sayla Donovan," he said. "Get in." This was Elias Thorne, my protector, a man who would guide us into the unknown. As the truck climbed into the Colorado mountains, the weight of Gideon's warning and the envelope's contents settled over me. 2 days ago, I had clicked a transfer for a dormant account, $20 million, without knowing the storm it would unleash. The network behind it was deadly, and now, my life and Ava's were directly in their crosshairs. Elias drove in silence, calm but alert. "Gideon Kane risked everything to protect you," he said. "That man would rather face death than let you be harmed. You are now part of a fight bigger than you can imagine." The mountains rose around us, pristine and deceptive. In the distance, a cabin appeared, smoke curling from its chimney. Safety, or another trap, I couldn't tell yet. But I made a choice. We would not run. We would fight. And that decision, though unspoken, set the stage for everything to come. The cabin nestled among the towering pines looked untouched by time, almost serene in the fading light of Colorado. But every instinct screamed at me that danger could erupt at any moment. I clutched Ava's hand as Elias Thorne guided us to the door. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, scanned the perimeter with a predator's precision. "Inside," he commanded. The moment we stepped in, the warmth hit me, almost a lie compared to the tension pulsing in the air. Maps plastered the walls, red markers circling major cities. A sturdy table groaned under stacks of files, flash drives, and encrypted laptops. This wasn't a hideout, it was a command center. "Sit," Elias instructed, motioning toward a chair. My mind raced. What was waiting for me here? He inserted a flash drive into the laptop at the center of the table. The screen flickered to life. I froze. The first image that appeared was Gideon Kane, his hair disheveled, a bruise darkening one cheek, speaking directly to me. "Sayla," he said, his voice urgent but alive. "They found me but not you." "Good. Elias got to you in time." Every word hit like ice. He continued, revealing the account I had unknowingly flagged, the dormant $20 million transfer. "The account belongs to Senator Malcolm Vera," Gideon explained. "He's behind the network. Money laundering, criminal operations, the disappearances all traced back to him." My stomach lurched. This wasn't just corporate theft. It was corruption at the highest level. Innocent people had died. Families destroyed. And somehow I, an administrative coordinator, held a piece of the puzzle powerful enough to topple it all. A loud crash outside made us jump. Elias grabbed a gun, his movements precise, rehearsed. Footsteps pounded. Gunshots erupted against the cabin walls. Ava screamed. My heart threatened to stop.
Selah.
Go to the cellar. Elias barked. I scooped Ava into my arms, racing toward a trapdoor. I hesitated, unwilling to leave him, but his eyes locked on mine, commanding, Go!
Now.
We descended into the hidden bunker. Cold, dark, but secure. Ava's tiny arms wrapped around me, her face buried in my shoulder. Every footstep above us made me flinch. Then the emergency phone rang. I answered with trembling hands. Gideon's voice, calm but strained, filled my ears. You did well, Selah. But this is only the beginning. You have 2 hours before they regroup. Decide, hide forever or step into the light and end this. 2 hours. Enough to vanish, or enough to fight. I looked at Ava, asleep against me, trusting me completely. Fear tangled with purpose. I would not let this network destroy more lives. I walked to the long metal desk. Files meticulously labeled, connecting Senator Vera and his allies to offshore accounts, shell companies, and covert operations that had ended in countless deaths. Whistleblowers, journalists, families, all silenced for uncovering the truth. Elias descended into the bunker, blood on his sleeve, still standing. They pulled back for now, he said. They think the explosion got us. We have a small window, but it's enough. I squared my shoulders. I'm not running anymore. This ends today. He nodded, as if he had expected it. Elias placed a secure satellite laptop in front of me, connecting the final encrypted drive containing Gideon's master files. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. One press, and the truth would unleash across the globe. The files mirrored automatically. Transactions, shell companies, secret accounts, audio recordings, everything tied to Vera. Federal agencies, international media, and investigative networks were all linked. Once released, there was no undoing it. Ava stirred beside me. Her wide eyes, innocent and trusting, reminded me why I had to see this through. I pressed enter. The upload began. Status bars filled rapidly. FBI connected, Interpol connected, CNN, BBC, Reuters. Every hidden crime, every corruption thread laid bare. Tears blurred my vision, not from fear, but relief. The monster hiding behind power and wealth had nowhere to hide. And then the emergency phone rang again. Gideon's voice, weaker but calm, filled the room.
Peace.
You did it, Selah. You ended what I couldn't. Protect your daughter. Live freely. Remember, you were chosen not for what you knew, but for who you are. The line went dead. Within hours, the world erupted. Federal agents arrested high-ranking officials. Senator Vera was detained attempting to flee the country. Investigations spread globally. Protests erupted. Justice, long delayed, was unfolding. But even victory carried a cost. Elias helped us relocate while security enveloped us. Witness protection offered a new life, new identities, a chance at normalcy. For the first time in months, I slept without fear. Ava beside me, clutching her stuffed rabbit, remained blissfully unaware of the chaos we had survived. Weeks later, the sunrise over the mountains painted the sky gold. Ava climbed onto my lap. Mom, she whispered, are the bad people gone? They're gone, sweetheart. They won't hurt us again, I replied, hugging her tight. Yet beneath the relief, a subtle tension lingered. 2 hours before the upload, when Gideon had said we had to decide, I had felt something I couldn't shake. The network was dismantled, but shadows always remained. Others had been watching, waiting. The game wasn't over. It had only changed. And deep down, I knew the moment might come again when I would have to choose between fear and courage, silence and truth, survival and action. Selah Donovan, an ordinary mother, had faced the unimaginable. But the shadows outside, the whispers of those left behind, reminded me that danger never truly disappears. It only waits for the right moment to return. The story ends here for now.